women had to fight to put their hands on the technology.
I continue to be astonished that we managed to produce as much media as we did.
Studio D was given very little resources. Kathleen had an office in the basement of the film board. I think it was a former janitor's hangout.
As we got into the industry, sort of seeing that lack of representation of particularly women of color.
Our Lives was the first Black women's newspaper in Canada. And it came about because Black women needed a voice in Canada.
It was very hard to get into print because you had to have a scoop. You couldn't write about something if it happened to you.
Wanting to make a video in the early 80s would entail getting a porta-pack.
It was the first portable video camera.
Took over the streets, occupied spaces.
You set the deck up here. It was reel to reel.
The way of editing was manually turning.
Bing, bing, bing.
I heard that there had been a slaughter of students at École Polytechnique.
There was a reluctance to name misogyny as the driving factor behind the crime.
That night, I went crazy. And I hold myself not taking my car and just hit some guys.
The level of rage against women, the level of sexism, it was something that I think we never experienced before.
Being a Black lesbian in the movement, and it was as if we didn't exist.
Power was in the hands of white women, and now women of color were coming to have some of it. It was the first documentary directed by a Chinese-Canadian filmmaker in the history of the film board at that time.
The Third International Feminist Book Fair, it was the only one that happened in North America.
It was the first feminist newspaper in Canada.
Dykes on Mics, the longest running lesbian show in the world.
I think we would say that.
Métis women are the cultural carriers, they're the story keepers. For us, our responsibility is to pass the culture on to future generations.
We are the future ancestors.
The archive is a warning and a promise to the future.
So you women want to make films? And it was like, yeah.